As Jews, how are we meant to look at technology? Should we be afraid of it? Is it just a distraction? Or could it actually be part of God's plan in preparing the world for Mashiach and the redemption? So to answer this, let's go back to Parshat Noach. Noach was a righteous man, and he was living in a world filled with corruption and much violence. And therefore, God told him to build an ark, because he's going to send a great flood that's going to come and destroy and essentially clean the whole world. The Torah tells us that in the 600th year of his life, of Noach's life, all of the fountains of the great deep burst forth and the windows of the heavens were opened. Now, here's something fascinating. The Zohar, which is the primary work of Kabbalah, the Zohar explains that this verse is not only about the flood of the water, it actually is also alluding to the future. And the Zohar explains that in the 600th year of the 6th millennium, in the Jewish calendar that is, a different kind of flood is going to come to the world. But there's not going to be a flood of water. It's a flood of wisdom that's going to come from above and from below. And when was this? This period corresponds to the years 1740 to 1840. And the Zohar tells us that this wisdom is going to elevate and prepare the world for the 7th millennium, the era of Moshiach. And this is exactly what happened. Because at that time was when the first Hasidic leader, the Baal Shem Tov, began to reveal himself. He began to teach the Hasidic teachings of the Torah, opening up a whole new way of serving God with joy, with much warmth and special connection. And then after this, his students and their students started to spread these mystical teachings even further. This was the time that the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad rabbi, took these mystical teachings and systemized them and printed them for the very first time in works like the Tanya. And so at this era, for the first time in history, you have the inner dimensions of Torah was now becoming accessible to anyone like never before that. But at the very same time, in the world at large, a different kind of wisdom was also bursting forth. This was the Industrial Revolution. That's when it began. So at that time, science and technology advanced at a pace like never before. That's when modern inventions started to transform day-to-day life everywhere. And so we have these two, science and spiritual wisdom bursting forth. But the question you may be thinking is, it makes sense how the spiritual wisdom is preparing and does prepare the world for Mashiach. Because as the Rambam writes, the redemption is all about the world being filled with knowledge of God. But what about all the scientific advancements? Why would the Zohar say that this too is preparing the world for Mashiach? In what way can science and technology prepare the world for that? So in 1977, the Lubavitch Rebbe actually explained 3 ways how technology is actually part of this godly plan. Number 1 is that technology helps us understand God better. Because for thousands of years, the idea that God sees and he could hear everything was something we could basically only believe in. But nowadays, with the satellites, the cameras, instant communication, we have a living example of how every action is seen and recorded. The Rebbe explained that this gives us a powerful way to grasp divine providence. Number 2, the Rebbe explained, is that technology is a tool, a channel how to spread God's wisdom. Just think about it. Right now, we're using technology right here in this very video, and this is helping us share Torah across the entire globe. So books, print, radio, internet, social media, all of it has become a channel to spread holiness and the knowledge of God. And you can reach every corner of the world with it. And number 3, that not only is it a tool, but it itself can reveal godliness. For example, for centuries, the Rebbe explained, the world was always seen as made up of separate solid matter. But Einstein and modern physics showed us that all matter is really energy. It's all a united reality beneath the surface. And so this discovery in science is echoing a very deep Torah truth, that really everything in existence is truly one at the core. It's all an expression of God's oneness. And we see this all unfolding in our times. Innovations that we're seeing in medicine and technology are not only improving lives, but they're even helping heal disabilities and illnesses that were once seemed literally impossible to overcome. This is a clear sign that we are moving towards the fulfillment of the prophecies of the redemption. which the prophecies tell us it's going to be a time when suffering and disability will be no more. And we're seeing it happen in front of us. So the next time you see a new breakthrough in science, in technology, in AI, don't just ask, okay, what's the latest gadget? But we should remember that the Zohar, the book of Kabbalah, is teaching us or taught us that every flood of wisdom, both spiritual and material, these are preparations, preparing the world for its ultimate purpose. And so it's pretty fascinating. We're witnessing now in real time how the world is getting ready and closer to the ultimate redemption. So may we see the imminent revelation of all this right now.